Hello, friends. On behalf of TAGD and the Confederation of Indian Industry, I welcome you to India Decoding Jobs' Lighthouse Series in this season. In the last episode, we brought to you an FMCG giant. In this episode, we get you a new age, um, very young giant in India. In a very new industry, and it is a giant in its own right. It's done amazingly well and has ingrained itself uh, throughout the masses of India, young, old, very age agnostic. You would have guessed it right. The company is Dream 11. And I have the greatest honor of having Kevin Freitas right here with me. He is the Chief Human Resource Officer at Dream 11, has done some amazing work in enhancing the employer brand for Dream 11, building a great organizational value, has done some very game-changing work, which we'll talk about through the entire talent life cycle. So welcome, Kevin.
Thank you,
How does it
Devashish.
feel today?
It's amazing. It's always been great. I think every day at Dream Sports and Dream 11 is like a dream come true.
Fantastic. I'm just sitting around this amazing room of yours, and I got goosebumps the moment I walked in here. Fantastic team and such a lovely ambience. So, friends, we have, like always, three sections, and we start with the first section. It is called Decoding the Jobs. So, the first question to you, Kevin, what does Dream 11 mean to you? And how is it achieving its mission in making sports better?
Oh, so very clearly, I think not just for me, but for countless Dreamsters here. And by the way, we call the folks that work at Dream 11 Dreamsters, but our overall larger company is Sporta, right? So everybody is a Sportin, and the folks that work on Dream 11, they're called Dreamsters. But for us at Dream Sports, what does it feel like working here every day? It's about making dreams come true, right? So you're fueling dreams not just for the people who work here, but for millions of our fans, millions of our users, and for a billion Indians, right? We are made in India, we're taking India to the world. Today we are, at least Dream 11 is the world's largest fantasy sports platform, and clearly this is something that came up from an idea, and you obviously work on, and you nurture this dream for a decade or so before it becomes the world's largest platform. When I look at making sports better, this is something that's very close to our heart, right? And not just the heart of the folks who work here, but all our fans, all our users, right? They want so much more from sports. You want sports to be engaging. You want sports to be exciting. You want to make sure that it is accessible to everyone. And what we do at Dream Sports through our multiple brands is make sure that that becomes a reality, right? So, for example, Dream 11, it's not about cheering for one team. It's about cheering for all players that you've chosen. So even though wicket might fall, you'd be cheering and other people will say, damn. It's not about choosing a side. It's about making sports that much more entertaining. I remember when I was growing up, we'd watch a television screen, and when the wicket would fall, it's end of the game. But at Dream 11, a Dream 11 user is engaged till the last ball. So we've made sports exciting for a billion Indians, right? And not just one sport like cricket. We have 12 sports on the platform.
Genuinely getting excited for the sporting spirit.
Exactly. Right. So now you are focused on all players. You're focused on looking at all kinds of talent, not just the team that you want to win.
And, right? And I'm sure this will translate to the Indian sporting arena too.
Yes.
Sports in reality, one, we have it as a gaming proposition, but sports in India, other than cricket, has somewhere we've been left out as a nation, right?
Yes.
And I understand that Dream 11's focusing on so many other sport
Yes.
feels.
So when we say make sports better,
Yes.
it's about making sure that we are able to add to the sports ecosystem in India. We've got Dream Sports Foundation that's helped athletes. We have about 31 athletes, and we've been sponsoring them. They are long-term athlete development since 2018.
Amazing.
Right? Out of these 31 athletes, they've won about 100 international medals, 200 national medals, and we have 3 Olympians as well. Right? So very clearly for us, it goes all the way down to the grassroots. So when we say make sports better, it's not about making it better right now. It's making it better forever. Right? So our investment into this goes a long way through Dream Sports Foundation, which is real grassroots development. Right? Very few organizations focus on grassroots development in sports, and we are very clear that that's a space that we want to play in. Right? The second aspect is all our multiple brands about making sports better. I talked about Dream 11. We have Fan Code. Today, if you want to see any non-marquee sports event, you don't know where to go, right? If you want to buy this jersey, you don't know which place you can get an authentic jersey, right? You'll struggle, right? So Fan Code is that proposition which allows people to watch a lot of sports, right from Kho to golf, a long list, a long tail of sports, right? And it's streamed, right, right to your living room, which is fabulous. You want authentic gear, whether it is the Indian team jersey or some other team, right? Football team, right? You can just buy it on Fan Code, and it's authentic.
Just helps get everyone into that culture.
Yes.
Fantastic, and I think you and I will have a shared dream as two great Indians that if ever we bag the Olympics as a nation, I hope the Dream 11 gets to play a big part in the sports.
Well, absolutely. Right? I think that'd be absolutely fabulous.
That'd be fantastic, right? So with this, thank you, Kevin. I move to my second question. India is emerging as one of the largest growing markets in the gaming industry globally.
Yes.
And this industry will hit $7.5 billion, right, is the revenue estimate. And it is by next year expected to create about 250,000 jobs, which is fantastic for the talent landscape. It's not been too long since this industry and Dream 11 have been compared to all the legacy organizations in India. With this new entrant and all of this happening in the talent landscape in gaming, how do you see this next decade panning out for the gaming industry, for Dream 11, when it comes to talent?
So I'd like to draw out a metaphor here. Sure. So imagine us all in the stadium, right, and all fans getting in. It's getting very exciting. We know the match is going to start, right? That's the moment that we are at. It's a tipping point, for the gaming industry, because very clearly I think that as more users are coming in and appreciating that the kind of gaming and games that are out there, as well as wonderful platforms like Dream 11 that are servicing all our users, right? I think this is a tipping point where not just careers, there are a lot of jobs as well, right? So 5 years ago, there wouldn't have been a job called a fantasy sports analyst. You wouldn't have found a lot of sports content creators. You wouldn't have found a lot of people who are product designers focused on gamification and games. You find them today. So clearly there are thousands of jobs that we've created. We've created jobs for brand storytellers. You find amazing stories of sports people today, right?
Yes.
About a decade ago, it would be hard to come by that, But
so that narrative has been amplified of great sporting success.
Yes. So I think the beauty is that it's not just us. I think the entire ecosystem that's there, and we've been one of the first, to step into this. I think it's just come together so well, and this next decade is going to be one of amazing growth, hopefully, and also a lot of support from all the fans that are there. Today we've got close to about 220 million users at Dream 11. We got 120 odd million users on Fan Code, right? So we clearly see this, reaching close to about a billion. It's not a billion, maybe about 500 million users over the next couple of years. Not just at Dream 11, but for the ecosystem as a whole, right? And that's fabulous. When you have so many users gunning for sports, excited about it, engaged with sport, there's no doubt that India can truly be a great sporting nation.
Oh, thank you, and I really hope we get to do that. Thank you so much. That was so insightful. Looking forward to this amazing decade. I move to my third question, Kevin.
Sure.
Dream 11 is a born digital company,
Yes.
right? And you've had to nurture a lot of tech talent ever since your inception.
Yeah.
What are the challenges you face doing that? And how do you retain such talent? And uh, what industries are your challenges, right? We know that there's a lot of poaching that happens, etc. We'll of course answer that later, but what are the challenges you faced until now in getting this talent in?
See, I think all talent, especially in tech, wants to work on groundbreaking work, right? So if you have groundbreaking work, anybody will want to
Yeah.
come to join you. So communicating what you're doing is very, very important, and the way you communicate it.
Vision and how you communicate.
Yes. So, for example, out here, we are not, an engineer is not just building code; they're building the future of sports, right? So it's something larger than us. We're not just doing this as a daytime job and something to pay a salary. We are impacting how sports is going to be consumed
Yeah.
in India for the future, right? And if you're able to draw parallel to that, that's when everybody gets excited.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get excited just because you're paying a little bit more. Nobody's going to get excited just because of the designation.
Yeah.
But everybody wants significance, right? At Dream 11, we've been one of the first folks to enter this space and deliver a lot of significance, not just for the people who work here, but for millions of our fans, right? Millions of our users. So I think that's one space that we've been able to occupy quite well. It's about groundbreaking work every day, challenging work every day. That's what makes, even a stone into a beautiful diamond.
Fantastic. This is really a goosebump answer for me. The fact that everyone wants significance, right?
Yeah.
They want to play a significant role.
Absolutely.
And connecting them to that larger vision that it's just beyond, not it's much more beyond coding.
Yeah.
You are creating such a large impact
Totally.
in the way sports is consumed,
Yeah.
how it inspires everyone
Yeah.
to do real sports outside in the sporting arena.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That is an amazing answer, Kevin. My fourth question: we have seen Dream 11 promote women's sports,
Yeah.
right? We have the Women's Super Smash League, which has become very popular. Um, how does diversity, equity, and inclusion play out within the Dream 11 talent ecosystem, the
Yeah, so
workforce?
that's very interesting, and again, like to draw a parallel to sport. So if all of us were wicket keepers on the team, if all of us were batsmen on the team, if all of us were bowlers on the team,
Yeah.
that would not be a pretty cool team, right? So we do understand that diversity is superbly important, especially to team performance. It's just natural, and as a sports company, we try and make sure that we have a diverse set of talent. But more importantly, it's not just about the diversity that you see. It's about how each person feels, right? Do they have a voice? Do they feel that they belong? And do they feel that they're being heard? For us, these three things matter the most. That's when you end up becoming diverse, right? When we started out, I remember this in 2017, our average age was about 23, 24. We're a very young company. Today, our average age is about 28, 29, right? Which means a lot of people are married, they have kids. Our policies have changed completely, right? Uh, 2017, we had a 10% gender diversity ratio.
Yeah.
Now it's about close to 22%, right? But we haven't focused on saying that we want to move the needle in this manner. We've been meritocratic about it. We've been focused on making sure that it's a diverse set of folks that we hire, and diversity not just in terms of what you can see, but how are decisions taken. Are you inclusive when you are soliciting feedback? Are you able to challenge? One of the important tenets is being able to challenge your manager, right? We have a no hippo rule here, which means that the highest paid person's opinion doesn't matter as long as you have the data to question them.
And the greater and the best idea.
Yes. So and that's very, very important, because that's what creates diversity.
Yes.
Diversity is not based on what you see; it's how you feel every day, right? And as long as we're giving that to our people, we are on a winning team.
Amazing. I just loved how you've broadened the entire idea of diversity. Uh, Fantastic, fantastic. So, diversity from thought, from ability to participate in decisions,
Yeah.
getting a voice, your voice heard, your thought tabled, irrespective of uh, what your position might be in the organization.
Yeah, I'll give you a small example,
Yeah.
right? So let me give you this anecdote. You
Yeah.
know, this happened in 2017, 18, if I recollect it right. I think it was 2018, the beginning. And, we had a marketing agency working with the marketing team, with the founders, with the top management team, come back to us on, what the new logo of Dream 11 should be,
Yeah.
right? And obviously, this is a team that's, invested in this idea. They're the closest to it. They have the knowledge, the technical ability to choose something, right? And they had multiple options and they finalized one, right? But just before, taking it public, right, we always like everybody in the organization to know. And we
How
also
does it
saw
look like?
how does
How
it
does
look
it
like? What
feel?
do you think? Because this is finally something that's going to be on your shirts, there's going to be on your mugs, it's going to be on your
Literally
bags,
carrying it on the chest.
it's going to be on your appraisal letters. How are you going to feel about that? And we said, hey, this is what we've chosen. How do you like it?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, thumbs down, we don't like it at all. And we were like, hey, listen, tomorrow is the ad shoot. We've already gotten these shirts done.
You were getting a brand ambassador.
Yeah, the brand
wow.
ambassador ad shoot, because I thought it was a done decision nearly, right? But this feedback, where you say you need voices to be heard, these are people who are as much invested in your success as you are, right? Just opening it up to them, getting that feedback. Overnight, we changed, saying that, hey, listen, whatever ad we're shooting has got to be shot without a logo. We'll superimpose the logo later. And that's how this logo came about, this logo of the championship cup, right? So like I told you about, Hippo, that decision doesn't work. We just don't go by that. And the second is, diversity is also about hearing voice, right? Making sure that not only are you soliciting it, but it's being heard, right? And I think this is a beautiful story, that showcases how everybody commits to something, right? Because you've actually opened up decision making and the input to everybody.
So you not only made sure that everyone feels that they were heard in such an important decision, literally wearing the employer brand, the brand, but also making them feel that they were valued and that uh, everyone has an equal say.
Yeah, but that's the culture out here, My sympathies with the marketing team at that point in time, because, changing everything, kudos to them. They could do that, right? And believe in that and, really stick by it.
That is an amazing anecdote, Kevin. And with this, we move to the last two questions. Dream 11 has a diverse tech workforce. It requires, I'm sure, a lot of learning and development initiatives. What has proven to be most effective for you?
Right. So we look at learning and development like a pre-season camp, for all, you know, let's say cricket or football, you have like a pre-season camp where there is intensity, there's focus, there's training, but you got to intersperse it also with learning that comes from the outside. So at Dream 11, we've got a series called Champions at the Stadium where we get some experts to come in. Sometimes they're cricketers, sometimes they are sports folks, sometimes they are experts in their functional fields, and they come and talk about what they have done, and we can learn a lot from them. We also have a hackathon where it's 48 hours of immense focus where teams build something. And I remember the last time it was, for us, a hackathon is not just a tech initiative; it's everybody in the company is involved. The last time we had a hackathon, everybody in the company was on a team that had to build an AI solution. Right? So yes, cross-function. You were trained in AI. You had experts come in on how to build an app that can use AI to solve a problem in your department. Right? So I remember we built our own chatbot in HR. You could ask it questions and it would answer questions on policies, because this is a solution out there. It's not only going and picking up something off the shelf, but understanding how to build it yourself. Right? That really stretches you. If you're not being stretched in learning, you're not developing, right? That's one. The second is also about holistic development. It's not just about stretching yourself to learn something new, but it's also knowing what your strengths are, making sure that you're focused on the right kind of well-being, If you're too invested, and you'll burn out, right? Having the right balance and advising people on the right balance is very, very important. Making sure you're focused, when you have too many things to do, because everything that you touch is exciting, in our company. You see an opportunity everywhere, but you need to focus, right? You need to build the right relationships. You need to make sure that you're gunning for your purpose, because sometimes you lose track of that. So as a player, and we call all people who work here players as well, right? Because we are like a sports team. uh, it's about making sure that you are focused on holistic development of yourself and of your team as well, right? For us, that's what matters. In addition, there is the usual stuff. There's courses online that you can take. We used to have a budget, 50,000 rupees per person, that you can go and spend on anything linked to your work. So for the last couple of years, we had a learning wallet in place. Everybody in the company, you could go and spend up to 50,000 rupees on your own learning and development. Just check in with your captain, and what we did this year is remove that limit of 50,000. So go and see what's useful to your own growth. Yes. And the beauty of that is that, our focus is on the ownership that you show. That's not about the organization or your coach telling you you have to go for practice. It has to come from within, right? As a player, if you're not keen on improving, there's nobody who can force you to do that, right? And everybody is an adult in the sports. We've seen it countless amount of times. For the players that actually want to improve, they go beyond what the coach tells them, right? They are invested in their success. They show that ownership and the zeal to make sure that they improve as players, because they know that when they are invested in their own success, truly, there's nothing that's going to stop them.
Oh, no, I think all the three anecdotes and your organizational philosophy on learning and development, I think they're best practices. And we would certainly want to quote it in our report,
absolutely,
whenever it comes out. Fantastic. And with this section's last question, Kevin, some of the biggest challenges Dream 11 faces in acquiring and retaining your talent. I mean, especially you have such a large tech workforce, and we know how buoyant it can be.
So everybody out there, is like a cricket team, and everybody is looking for Virat Kohli to join the cricket team, right? That's the market out there. The question is, how do you get a Virat Kohli like batsman on your team, and how do you get many of them, and how do you get them to stay, right? You can get them because of the amazing perks you have, the salary you pay, the policies that you have, the underlying culture that you propagate. But you get them to stay because of what they experience, and I talked about this earlier. You have to provide challenge, you have to provide groundbreaking work. That's the only reason that they're going to stay. And yes, what promises you've made on culture have to really bear fruit. If you're going to tell a person you have autonomy, and they come in and they don't find autonomy, they're not going to stay. They're going to jump to the other team that's telling them that, here, come, I'm very happy to have you on my team. For us, making sure that what we promise is delivered, and we're not making fake promises, absolutely clear. So for us, making sure that that happens ensures that we always get people who are here not just because they see it as a paycheck, but because they're seeing this as a way to change sports in India for the better.
Amazing. And do you create narratives around such stories, success stories?
A lot. I think, anybody who joined here at Dream 11 ages ago, 2017 or before, I don't think so they came for a salary increase, right? So these were people who, are gunning their purpose. They know that this is a space nobody has, it's untapped, nobody has tried it before. These are the first guys that are trying to do something in the space. I want to be part of this mission. This is changing things, never been done before, right? So I think you will always have that. And even when a company grows, like let's say a Dream 11 or a Sporta or a Fanco, Dream Set Go, all of them have grown. You'll always find opportunities where it becomes mission and it becomes purposeful for a bunch of people. Like even today, I think even today, it's still a purpose-driven company. We are still just taking baby steps, and there's still a lot to do, right? So we're very excited about
Wonderful. That is just fantastic, Kevin, and very, very inspiring. And with this, friends, we come to the end of our first segment, which was decoding the jobs. And we move to our second segment. Be ready to spill the beans, because this is called spilling the beans.
Okay.
right? So, Kevin, the first question here: as early movers in an emerging sector like gaming, how did you create your employee value proposition?
Yeah, so lots of EVPs out there, and one of the things that at least we were most inspired by, at least on our journey, was Netflix. Freedom and
Yes,
responsibility, right? And they truly live it at
yeah, you
Netflix.
do. You do.
For us, it was about sport, and it's not about. And just to draw a parallel, what we felt is that we need to be authentic all the time. We are a sports company at our core. uh, a lot of people here love sports. They either watch it, play it. The reason why they're here is largely because of sport, and the reason why they don't leave is also largely because of sport. But sports is not just about work, right? The reason why people are here is twofold. One is to create an impact, and the second is to really have fun doing it. So for us, our EVP is focused on impact that you're going to create. You're going to change sports and the way it's consumed in India.
But
And you're
have
going to
fun
have fun
alongside.
doing it. It's not about work, because sports has always been about play. Right from your school days, you went on the field because you wanted to play. Right? As a sports company, it's all about play and having fun doing it and being on a winning team while you're at
So you've literally made that old Hindi anecdote you to sound like "Kheloge, koodoge, banoge nawaz,"
it.
right? Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Kevin. You are a born digital company,
Yes.
Dream 11. Uh, as the HR leader in this organization, um, what parts of the employee life cycle do you think are today still manual, semi-manual, and what are your plans for that?
Yeah. So I think you have to have a very focused balance on making sure that there is a strong human connection, right? It's very easy to use technologies just because you're a digital first company. And when I say digital first, doesn't mean that other modes are outmoded. It means that you prefer using digital technologies to scale your processes. But there are some things that people absolutely love and adore, and that's human connection. And you can't replace that with a
Human,
lot of human connection.
oh, human connection,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
when we go, and I'll give you a small example of this, right? The talent acquisition team at the company
Mm.
is not responsible for hiring.
Oh, they're not responsible for hiring.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The hiring manager is.
Oh,
So
yes.
even if the
Hiring
TA,
manager
yeah,
at the core.
yeah, even if the
Reshape.
TA team doesn't do anything, the question is going to be asked of the hiring manager. What did you do?
What
Right? Did you go and meet
Yeah.
candidates? Did you go and speak to them? Did you shortlist? Did
Oh, I
you
love
prepare the
this.
JD?
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not about the scouts who can get you talent. If the scouts can't get you talent, it's still your accountability as a captain to go and find your players. You can't say you're helpless because your scout didn't do something, right? And when we did that, our jobs got filled faster. Candidates spoke directly to people that they're going to be playing with on the field. The conversion rate was much, much faster, right? I think the beauty is that you made sure that the accountability ended up going where it truly had to be. Yeah. So I honestly think that, when it comes to making sure that leaders are accountable, you know by driving that accountability to the core person who actually has to do it is very, very important. Sometimes we lose track of it.
Yeah.
We end up saying, hey, listen, this team is responsible, this tech is responsible for making sure we can speak to our users, right? But when you're
So the
not,
onus on the hiring manager.
yeah. And you can always use tech, so for example, we use tech for reach outs, we use tech to match candidates to the right position. You can always do that, but when you're reaching out to a
So
candidate,
tech interweaves and swim lanes through
yes,
your talent
yes,
process,
yes,
but the hiring manager is the one
yeah.
who's accountable.
Yeah,
And
like I tell you, you have to meet a candidate
yeah,
physically.
yeah,
You have to take the candidate out for
certainly,
lunch.
yes.
Right? You can't do it through tech, right? You have to be present
Right,
because this is the person who's going to work with you.
right. And in today's world where jobs have become location agnostic, assuming you have Mrs. Iyer sitting out of Coimbatore
Yes.
working for you, how does that work out? How does the lunch happen then? Do you still use technology?
So we have a hybrid model, but you need to be 4 days here and
Right.
one day wherever you want to be, right? So very clearly, a lot of folks, have realized, after the pandemic, that the true development happens when they are working with people in a place, right? And that's truly worked for us as well. So we don't find this quandary where we've got 100% remote organization.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I think the last question in this section, um, can you share a success story of how Dreamsters are made?
They're made over decades, I would say, with the hard work of everybody involved. And when I say that, I truly think that everybody who's been here, who's dreamed of being at Dreamland and made it here, you know, they've truly mastered a couple of things. One is that they are focused on data, in the decisions that they take, but they also have a little bit of gut. What we end up saying out here is 90% data, 10% gut.
Yeah, I think that match and
Yeah.
mix.
You'll never have all the data all the time, right? You'll never have. If we had all the data, and this is what our founder also says, our founders say, we'd never have entered this space. Everybody told us, don't.
Take the punch.
You got to take it. You got to take that 10% gut is very, very important. You have to show ownership. We'll always stay lesser number of people, but we'll do kick-ass work, very enriched work, groundbreaking work. And you can't do that when you can't rely on the next person to take ownership if you're not doing your job, right? Or to be transparent with you, saying that I'm expecting you to do this, you're not doing it, right? The other elements are a bit around how much we persevere, right? So you will never see people giving up. Still focus on it. And as a company, our upbringing was such that we had to go to close to 150 VCs before we got our first round of funding. If you're not going to be persistent, hearing the same no, every time, that's not. You'll suddenly realize that you just can't be heartbroken because something didn't work out. You always find us, irrespective of the turmoil, irrespective of the changes that we see around us, irrespective of the speed of the changes, we still positive, right? And the last bit is about making sure that whatever you do, you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your users, you're doing it for sports, you're doing it for the country, right? It's always about bigger than us. For us, at Dream11, whatever we are creating, and at Dream Sports, whatever we're creating, it's bigger than the company. It's not for us.
Lovely, lovely. What a fantastic answer. And with that, Kevin, we come to the end of Spilling the Beans. And we move to segment 3, my friends, which is Experts Advice. And Kevin, all spotlight on you once again. First question: what are the top 3 necessary things that a graduate should learn before scouting for jobs in a new age company like Dream11?
Okay.
And some softer aspects
Yeah.
on the skill set, right? Cultural aspects.
Yeah. So a lot of what I'm going to say right now is, a mix of what I've experienced and a mix of what I've seen, young graduates who've joined us, succeed at. The first I would say is adaptability. You will always face so much constant change, right? Structures changing, businesses changing. Every day is, in turmoil sometimes. You need to be adaptable because some people are fixated on this was what was said, how did this change, right? But the world's changing, your businesses are changing, your priorities keep changing, the team keeps changing, it keeps evolving, right? Your thoughts keep evolving, and there's no right answer all the time, right? People who can adapt to that pace, thrive, especially as a young graduate, because when everything around you is changing and you're not, right? The problem is not with everything around you, the problem is with you. So change and adaptability is very important. The second, I would say, is your fluency with technology, right? You have to be technology agnostic as well as fluent with any technology. You can't say,
technology agnostic and a technical together.
Yes, you have to have that. You have to do that because, let's say, I joined this organization. I'm not a person who ever used WhatsApp, right? I hate to use WhatsApp, and it was a pain. I never used a Mac, in my life, and I had a lot of number crunching to do. I remember in my first 2 months of joining, and my Excel skills on a Mac were slightly different because the tools and the commands are different, right? But you got to adapt. You got to be fluent in all sorts of technology, and especially for a graduate and those entering a technology profession of being a software engineer, the tools that are going to come your way every single month, right? The developments in that tool is going to be crazy, right? And if you're not going to jump on being fluent with that, you'll soon find yourself outmoded, right? The third, I would say, is entrepreneurship, and that's where you require people to show ownership. It's not about complaining about what the world didn't give you, right, or what happened to somebody else. It's about taking your own destiny in your hands, and acting with initiative, right? I think a lot of folks don't do that. It's always sometimes about an external force, but the biggest force that you have is the force of self-belief in you, right? Never lose that. I think these three, I think would make any graduate succeed in today's world. Adaptability, fluency on tech, especially in the world of Gen AI, right? And the last one is an entrepreneurial spirit, translating to being able to do your own thing, right? True. With self-belief. Self-belief. Yes, absolutely. Fantastic. Lovely, lovely. Last question, and thank you again, Kevin. Um, Gaming industry is ever evolving in its skill landscape, right? But technology has its backbone. Like you just said, every week there's something new. What is working for Dream 11 to keep its Dreamsters relevant even today? Yeah, so when you look at just the digital side of it, you end up focusing on all the cool things, right? Oh wow, this is a fancy tech platform, but there's also an offline part of it, right? So there's one of our businesses which is Dream Set Go. It takes 25,000. Dream Set Go. Dream Set Go. Yeah, so it's a travel experience. Wow. It's a bespoke premium travel experiences company, and it takes 25,000. It takes about 5,000 to 10,000 people to marquee sports events every year. And when you look at that business, right, when you look at the kind of focus that they have, very clearly they're focused on making sure that they give an experience that nobody has ever seen. Okay, at least from an Indian standpoint, you're getting authentic tickets. You know that if I have to go and watch a certain marquee event, maybe it's a tennis event in the US or in the UK, you can totally rely on them, right? So when I look at that, what's working for us and what's working for you know all our all our companies is the strong belief that sports is only growing, right? And each of our businesses, so if you take sports and sports tourism is growing much bigger than tourism, right? And you've just cited about what you're seeing, the size of the gaming market, right? So the true belief that you're at a tipping point. It's a great opportunity. It's a fabulous place to be. You're at a market leader. There's groundbreaking work still because we've just broken stone. The foundation has been laid. We still need to build a castle, right? Amazing. So I think, and multiple castles, and not just for us. Like I said earlier, I think this is for everybody, right? This is for what we can contribute to the sports ecosystem, because as that gets bigger, there'll be a lot of companies coming in, right? We've just been one of the pioneers, but I'm sure there are going to be countless many that will come in, and we'll be pretty happy if we were one of the first to make sure that happens. Wow, amazing, amazing. Kevin, what you said right at the start of this beautiful conversation, that the stadium's full, everyone's cheering on, and we are at that pivot point. Absolutely. In this industry for its future, where the match is about to begin. And with that, my friends, we come to the conclusion of this episode. I want to thank Kevin Freitas, Chief Human Resource Officer of Dream 11, Dream Sports, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Devashish. Thank you on behalf of TAG, the Confederation of Indian Industry. And what you're going to say becomes part of great conversations that come to the trinity of academia, industry, as well as government, and are published in the India Decoding Jobs report.
I thank you, and I want to wish Dream Sports and Dream 11 great, tremendous success as we wait for the game to start.
Thank you, and I'm humbled to help in any way I can.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
thank you.